We've been talking about a lot of IPOs lately. So here is another one that we're going to talk about today, which is Groww. Groww is coming out with an IPO on 4th of November 2020. Get all the details. And in the second story, we'll cover about how China has eased the curbs in India on the rare earth material. But what led China to make this decision? Let's find out. Hi, this is C. Suhani Kataria, and let's begin. Groww, as we all know, is an investing app. You can either use it to buy stocks, IPOs, FNOs, ETFs, bonds, and mutual funds. It also gives margin trading and small personal loans. Account opening is 100% online and paperless. The company is run by Billion Brains Garage Ventures Limited, where Lalit Shekhe is the CEO. Groww has a very large user base. Active users on NSE went from 5.37 million in March 23 to 12.58 million in June 2025. Market share went up from 15% to 26% in the same time. From June 24 to June 25, almost 26% of all the new Demat accounts were opened on Groww. Groww is also strong in SIPs. In June 25, about one of those 3 SIPs in India started on Groww. By June 25, it had about 17 million active SIPs, around 18.5% of all active SIPs. Most customers in FY25 came organically, about 84%. The company made a loss in FY24, about 805 crores, but made a profit in FY25 of around 1800 crores. Most money still comes from broking, which is about 84% of the operating revenue in FY25. In June 25 quarter, profit was about 378 crores and revenue was around 900 crores and was down by almost 9.6% year on year. The IPO size here is of 6,632 crores. It has a fresh issue of 1,060 crores and an offer for sale of up to 55 crores, 72 lakhs 30,051 shares. The face value is 2 rupees and the price band is around 95 to 100 per share. The minimum lot size is 150 shares, so the minimum amount is 14,000 at 95 to 100 rupees. The issue opens on Tuesday, which is 4th November, and closes on 7th November, Friday. Retail can bid from Monday, 3rd November. Allotment is expected on Monday, 10th November. Listing on BSE and NSE is expected on Wednesday, 12th November. The book runners are Kotak Bank, JP Morgan India, Citigroup Global Markets India, and Axis Capital and Motilal Oswal. At the top price, the company is valued at a little over 61,700 crores. The PE based on FY25 earnings is around 31.35 times. This is lower than the average peer PE of around 40 times. The grey market has shown a small premium of around 10 rupees, which means possible listing gains of about 10 to 11%. This is only an indication and can change. The fresh issue money will, however, be used for brand marketing, adding capital to NBFC arm, which is Groww's credit serve, funding margin trading capital in the broking unit, and paying for cloud infrastructure. The rest is for acquisition and general needs. But here are some risks, which are rules can change and affect trading. For example, SEBI's October 24 FNO rule. Active broking users already fell from 7.24 million in Q1 FY25 to 6 million in Q1 FY26. Revenue depends a lot on broking, so it can go up and down with the market. Any tech outage can hurt trust and volumes. Competition is tough and peer pressure pricing is also there. If you talk about growth strengths, it has a huge user base, low customer acquisition cost, strong SIP engine, and better profits with scale. But watch for demand in the IPO, growth of non-broking revenues, the effect of any new rules, and whether revenue picks are up again for June 25 dip. But here is one more interesting thing that we have learned in the past IPOs, that as we talked about Lenskart as well, we see that a lot of hurdles are there in the IPO, and we have seen that for a lot of IPOs like Mamaearth and Hyundai and the rest of them. But before you invest, be careful and make sure you read your DRHP and consult a financial advisor. And for the second story, China has allowed a few Indian companies to buy rare earth magnets again. India's foreign ministry has confirmed this. News report says Continental India, Hitachi Astano India, J. Ushan and Diamond Electric are among the first to get the approval. Many other Indian companies have also applied and are still waiting. This decision gave quick relief to Indian factories that were worried about parts running out after China tightened exports earlier. Rare earth magnets are called NdFeB magnets, where Nd stands for neodymium, Fe stands for iron, and B stands for boron. Sometimes small amounts of other rare earths like praseodymium and dysprosium are added to the magnets so they can handle high temperatures. These magnets are very strong, even if they are small. Because they are strong and compact, they are perfect for making motors and devices that must be light, small, and energy efficient. Now, China controls most of the world's rare earth magnet supply. This is because China not only mines a lot of rare earth ores, but also does the complex steps in the middle. The steps include separating the elements, refining them into oxides, turning them into metal alloys, and finally pressing and magnetizing them into finished magnets. This full chain is mainly inside China. So when China changes exports rules, the impact is felt quickly in India and around the world. Now, China has given this approval with clear condition. The magnets cannot be used for defense equipment. The magnets also cannot be sent to the US. Companies must clearly declare where and how the magnets will be used. They must promise not to resell them. Right now, China is allowing magnets for consumer and industrial uses only and is reviewing each application case by case. There is also a diplomatic angle behind this move. India raised the issue strongly with China because many factories were at risk. After these talks, China gave licenses to some of the Indian companies. This reduces the short-term risk of production stoppages for all those companies. However, it does not fully solve the long-term problem because approvals are limited, depend on strict conditions, and can change if policies change again. Now, here are still a few risks that remain. China's export rules can change quickly, so companies need backup plans. The rules say that no US re-export and no defense use, which can create extra paperwork and checks, especially for global companies that sell to many countries. The biggest risk here is still the concentration. Most processing and magnet making happens in China. So if something goes wrong, Indian companies may face shortages again. Now, Indian industry and the government can take several practical steps. They should build more capacity inside India and not just in mining, but also in the middle steps like separation, refining, and alloy making, and the final magnet manufacturing. This takes time and investment, but it reduces the risk in the long run. They should also diversify the suppliers by working with other countries like Japan, Vietnam, Australia, and some European suppliers. This does not remove China completely, but it reduces dependence on a single source. In the short term, the approvals that India has received are a big positive. The named companies can continue production and meet delivery timelines. In the medium term, more approvals will help stabilize supplies for other firms. And in the long term, India will still need to build its own capability, diversify its sources, redesign where sensible, and maintain buffers. This is the only way to reduce the risk in future disruptions. In summary, China's approval gives immediate breathing room. However, the conditions and the concentration of the supply chain mean India must continue to push on 4 fronts at the same time. Build local capacity, diversify suppliers, design smart alternative where possible, and run tighter inventory and compliance planning. This balanced approach will protect factories today and make the supply chain stronger for the future. Now let's go to the newsflash section where we can see that the Indian rupee holds above record low despite monthly decline. Equity markets post strong October gains. The Indian rupee closed on Friday at 88.765, slightly lower but managing to stay above its record low of 88.8, which was hit in late September. State-run banks conducted intermittent dollar sales to support the currency. The rupee remained flat for the month after earlier rallying to 87.625, following central bank's intervention before losing those gains. India's BSE Sensex and Nifty fell 0.4 on Friday but posted over 4.5 gains for October, marking their best monthly performance since March. The Reserve Bank of India is expected to continue managing rupee volatility, though the currency faces depreciation pressure amid uncertainty over US-India trade deal progress. A senior government official indicated a trade pact is very near. The dollar index reached 99.54, up by 1.8% for the month. while the rupee declined 1% for the week. Now, let's go on the Insights tab and look at the heat map for today, where we can see it's all red again. Let's look at the top losers for today, where we can see that Eternal is down by 3.52%. Max Healthcare is down by 2.61%. NTPC is down by 2.38%. Adani Enterprises is down by 1.82%. Cipla is down by 2.52%. ICICI Bank is down by 1.26%. We can see HDFC Bank is down by 1.09%. Bajaj Finserv is down by 1.24%. So these have been the top losers for today. If we talk about top gainers, Bharat Electronics is up by almost 4% today. Eicher Motors is up by 1.7% today. Shriram Finance is up by 1.44%. L&T is up by 1%. And TCS is up by 0.75%. So these have been the top gainers and losers for today. If we talk about the FIDI data, as of 30th October, FII again sold in cash of 3,077 crores, whereas DI bought in cash of 2,469 crores. If we talk about today's top deliveries, today's top 5 deliveries are Interglobe Aviation, which is Indigo, Asian Paints, Tech Mahindra, Max Healthcare, and Mahindra & Mahindra, which ranged from 74% to 68%. Now, let's go on Dhan charts and analyze Nifty 50 for today. So as we can see, again, a big red candle has been formed, and the gains or the sideways market that was prevalent since the last couple of days, we have just broken the low again, and I think this is due to the rupee falling again. There are some global cues which are strong and which are negative for India as we are waiting for the US-India deal as well. But there are some good earning calls in among all of this, but we'll still see where the market goes on Monday. So Nifty opened around 25,863, made a high of 25,953, made a low of 25,711, and closed around 25,722. It is above its 20 EMA and 50 EMA, but it's slowly reaching towards its 20 EMA. And its RSI has again fallen from 69 to 57. If we talk about Sensex, Sensex is down by 465 points today, almost 500 points today. Sensex again opened at 84,379, made a high of 84,712 and closed around 83,938. It is also above its 20 EMA and 50 EMA, and the RSI is also at 57. If we talk about today's top gainers and losers in the indices, we have only top 3 gainers, where Nifty PSU Banks has held whatever it has held today for Nifty, which is up by 1.56%. CPSE is up by 0.09%. And these are the only top 2 gainers for today. If we talk about the top losers, we can see Fin Nifty is down by 0.87%, Nifty Commodities down by 0.84%, Private Banks is down by 0.75%, Nifty Pharma is down by 0.55%, and IT is down by 0.54% as well. That's it for today. Okay, so I have a question for you. Are you investing in a Grow IPO? Tell us in the comments below. Till then, like, share, and subscribe. Stay curious and stay updated.
Investments in the securities market are subject to market risk. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.